Continuing on the GSMC Chip Shot Football podcast with the NFL schedule released this past Wednesday. I didn't get a chance to really talk about some of the international games, so I thought I'd come on here and sort of talk about the storylines, what's intriguing about these games, and when they will be played. If you weren't aware, the NFL will be playing a total of 5 international games this season, and not only will they have another country added to that list, a whole new continent they will be visiting in 2024 down in South America in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which is where we'll start on going over the games. Week 1, Friday, September 6th. Exclusively on Peacock, the Green Bay Packers will play against the Philadelphia Eagles down in Brazil. The first time the NFL is heading down to South America and really just Brazil, bringing the game, the excitement around it down there to South America. It is the first Friday night opening weekend game in over 50 years, so that's also something that's pretty monumental for the NFL and how they set up, how weird the schedule is set up this NFL season with there being games on every day of the week except Tuesday at some point this NFL season. So that's one Friday game. Also, like I mentioned, the first game in South America and being played at the Corinthians Arena in Sao Paulo, a soccer stadium. The reception is really what I'm focusing in on here for the international game. You know, you sort of know the reaction in London, in Germany, where they have been playing, but now you're bringing it to a whole new audience, a whole really new demographic of people who are just in love with soccer down there, and to bring American football into their stadiums to get it engraved with all the rest of the people. I'm interested to see how many people show up to it, you know, how many people just react to some of the plays that are going on, and how many people just bring a good reception to some things that happen. You know, it is a great game just in terms of the teams that are being brought down there to Brazil. The Packers, the season that they had, playing against the Eagles, adding Saquon Barkley, and the expectations that are on them this season. I think it'll draw in any regular NFL fan in the United States, but also it should do wonders down there when the people in Brazil see the game and see a high level being played by these two teams. I think that'll draw in a very big crowd, and I think they'll be left very impressed by it. They have the star power, like I mentioned, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. All the star power is there, and also it is a great matchup to start the year, but also how it could implement the playoff race later on and who gets the tiebreaker there potentially if it comes down to that. So I'm looking forward to it on a Friday, the second game of the NFL regular season. Back-to-back games on Thursday with the Chiefs and Ravens, and then you get this game in a whole new continent. I think will be very exciting. Then moving on to the more regular shorter games on the international schedule. The first one in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium doesn't come until week 5 on October the 6th at a very early time, 9:30 a.m. The New York Jets against the Minnesota Vikings. The first of 3 London games, the first of 2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And again, intriguing matchup because you have a lot of new pieces on the Jets, a lot of new pieces as well on the Minnesota Vikings, but also the quarterback battle there. Aaron Rodgers playing against a former NFC North rival. In those competitions, Aaron Rodgers is 17-11-1, so favored in this matchup, I'm sure, but the last time he played an international game was in 2022, the only time he's played an international game, and he lost that game, so he'll be trying to even the score there by beating a former familiar foe in the Minnesota Vikings. But also from the Vikings side, will J.J. McCarthy be the starter by week 5? Not too far into the regular season, and maybe he gets named the starter right off the bat if he really impresses in camp, but I think the general thought is that Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback for right now, that sort of bridge guy to ease J.J. McCarthy in. But regardless of that, you have 2 great receivers, Garrett Wilson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Mike Williams also being added to the group. I'm forgetting the New York Giants running back's name. It's going to kill me. I can't remember his name. But also, he had a great year last year. I think how bad it just fell apart for the Giants or the Jets offense, I think hurt him. But now everyone's healthy. I think he could have Breece Hall. Breece Hall, that's what it is. Breece Hall, he'll have a great year with the whole offense being healthy. I'm really looking forward to him. I think he could be an underrated player heading into 2024. So another great matchup there in London. More of a familiar crowd there, but they have a great game to look forward to in week 5. Then, just the week after that, in week 6, October 13th, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium once again, the Jacksonville Jaguars will play the Chicago Bears. The Jaguars making their usual return to London. It'll be their 12th time playing in London, and the Bears have only played there 2 times internationally, and not since 2019 have they had their last international game. So, a bit of a rare occurrence for the Chicago Bears, but also a new, fresh breath of air because they have a new starting quarterback, Caleb Williams, going up against another number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars had a very disappointing end to the year last year, so they're sort of going to try and prove themselves all over again with having another great start to the year against the Chicago Bears. And also, how will the Bears look by this point? Not really the middle part of the season, but 6 weeks in, you'd hope that there is some sort of rhythm, momentum starting to build with this young team trying to put all these pieces together. Very good, experienced pieces on their own, but as a whole, how do they look cohesively? And also, the Chicago Bears not really having a tough schedule, but this is a very good game to prove themselves as well against another up-and-coming team. I think will be a good test for them and Caleb Williams, how well he's performing up until this point. They have the star power yet again, and also the Jaguars are a familiar face there in London. Trevor Lawrence is 3-1 internationally already as a quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars, so how they rebound off of that, how different their offense looks without Calvin Ridley, now bringing in a younger receiver, Brian Thomas. How do they integrate their run game? I think will all be fascinating to see how it all plays out. But they will be playing in London yet again against the Chicago Bears. And also, the following week, another international game in London, this time at Wembley Stadium, October 20th for week 7. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars stay in London, back-to-back years of the Jaguars staying in London, playing consecutive games there. They became the first NFL team to do that last year in 2023, and last week was their 12th appearance. Now, in week 7, it'll be their 13th appearance internationally. It'll be the 10th time they've played at Wembley. Against the New England Patriots might not be the most intriguing matchup just because we don't know what the Patriots will look like by this time. Maybe Drake May will be starting. That could be a little more exciting than maybe Jacoby Brissett. No shade towards Jacoby Brissett, but I think people just want to see what they have in Drake May. And if that does happen to be the case, it'll be back-to-back weeks that Trevor Lawrence plays 2 of the top 3 picks in this year's draft. So that's another storyline to potentially keep an eye on if it happens. And, it is a good chance to see the new reinvented New England Patriots under Gerard Mayo. New quarterback, new players coming in. How will the defense look and all that sort of stuff. Week 7, it'll be a good opportunity to see how they've developed in the earlier part of the season, sort of heading towards the middle of the season. What kind of record do they have? Injuries maybe, the quarterback situation like I mentioned before. It'll be a good test again against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who it just seems that they are the favorite team in London. So traveling there, how do they react to the travel? A young team going overseas and playing a good team. I want to see also how they embrace that. But overall, there are some things that could potentially happen that could make it more exciting. But that is the Week 7 game. And then to round it off, not until a couple weeks later, in Week 10, the New York Giants will play the Carolina Panthers at the Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany on November the 10th, again at 9:30 a.m. May not appeal to the regular fans. The Giants and the Panthers not really considered great contenders for each of their conferences, or in the NFC, I should just say. But in Germany, I think it'll be a hit regardless. If you remember last year, it was played in Frankfurt, Germany. This time it'll be in Munich, but the audience was great last year in that game against the Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins. You saw the crowd, how just energized they were to be there, singing songs, having the chant and everything going. Regardless of the game was good or not, thankfully it was a good game between two very good AFC teams. But I think regardless, those fans, those people were just happy to be there, absorbing the atmosphere of a different sort of sport coming in to their country. Now it'll be in Munich, Germany, at the home of Bayern Munich and their stadium. So I think it'll be still a hit regardless of whether or not the game is good or not. And also with just each of these teams, you have the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young, how does he look in his second year under a new head coach? Dave Canales, a very young head coach. So how has that all played out? They've added some good pieces. Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, I want to say from the Seattle Seahawks as well, to that offensive line. Drafted Jonathan Brooks in the draft as maybe one of their starting running backs as well. They brought in Deontay Johnson. So a lot of new pieces. They're trending in the right direction. But how do they look against the New York Giants as well, who have a lot of questions going into this year? No real star running back to play off of. Will Daniel Jones sort of prove a lot of people wrong? Brian Dable and general manager Joe Shane, are they put under more pressure if they're not performing well by this point in the season? A lot of things to look forward to in this game, regardless if they might not be the most appealing teams. I think it'll still be a good thing to watch. And being in Germany, I think the NFL knows what they're doing. Bringing just the game of football over there will be a hit, regardless if it's a good game or not. But those are all the international games for the 2024 season. I'm excited to see a lot of them, regardless if they're good matchups or not. I think they'll all just still be a massive hit wherever they are, and hopefully it'll just grow the game even more in years to come. But that's where we'll leave it. We'll be moving on with another short break here on the show, but on the other side, we'll be talking more about the Thanksgiving games and the Black Friday games as well, plus talking about the New York Jets getting a lot of primetime games early on, and how is that a smart idea for a team that has a 40-year-old quarterback just coming off for injury? I'll dive more into that topic and into what the NFL said about their decision to do that, but for right now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.